brother? What's that?
This is a groovy party, man.
Yeah,
I
brother,
can
like,
dig it.
stop. Right on.
Hey, man, what's your name?
Mother, there's too many of you crying.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Pain is temporary. It may last for a minute, or an hour, or a day, or even a year. But eventually, it will subside, and something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever.
I want to teach you something that I learned that changed my life also. Everything that changed my life came from God. We talking about next level? I'm finna show you how to get there. I've been debating on how I was gonna do this, but I thought the best way to go about this is just tell you my story. And in my story, maybe you can see some of yourself. Listen, man, anybody can be successful, but you gotta understand something. It's hard. It's hard, man. You can take all the courses you want. It's hard. You can go down there to the church and hold your hands in a prayer circle. When you get through praying, it's gonna be hard. You go to school, you can get all the degrees you want. When you get them degrees and you hang them on the wall, if you want to be successful, it's gonna be hard. It's hard being successful. That's the first thing you need to understand.
Bring some understanding here today. Pick it loud.
And the difference between a champion and someone who's forgotten is that a champion shows up. That's the only thing. Every day shows up. Gives himself a chance to make a difference. Because success doesn't know these things about cold or early or tired. It just knows if he showed up or not.
For some of you, when you do what you do, you act as if you have another opportunity. Every opportunity is the last opportunity. You can't just say you want it. You can't watch the video and say, I want it as bad as I want to breathe. It's cute to say it. But when it's showtime, when the sun comes out, you got all the books, you got all the tapes, you got all the access. Now it's time to hunt.
If it was easy, everybody would do it. But if life's got you down, I need you to get up and prove them wrong.
It's gonna rain sometimes. I will. You're gonna feel discouraged sometimes. I will. No matter what the obstacle, I will. I will. I will. A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. It's the whole process.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Soul Talk
Hey guys, for those of you that are out there, you know we have a treat for you this evening. But before we get started, go ahead and share. Let somebody know. Let your auntie them, let Pookie and them, let everybody know that Soul Talk is on. And we have the one and only Dr. Sharon Flowers with us this evening.
Yes.
See, look at there. And then that cutie to the other side of the screen, that's my love bone, Norma Davis. And I know somebody saying, what in the world does love bone mean? That's a whole nother story. I'll tell you some other time. But go ahead and share. We have an exciting live stream for you this evening. I'm telling you, this month where we've been kind of honoring different authors that we know. And so far, they've been knocking it out in the park. You can learn a lot about a person when you start just taking time to hear their story or read their stories. So we're excited about that. And while you all are sharing, I just want to do a quick intro of Dr. Sharon Flowers. Dr. Sharon Flowers is a native of East St. Louis, Illinois. She's the daughter of Johnny L. McCrae Sr. and Gladys L. McCrae. She is the second of 4 children. Dr. Flowers joined the United States Army in 1988 and retired in 2008 after 20 years of faithful service to her country. Dr. Flowers relocated to Orange Park, Florida in 2015 and loves the Sunshine State. I know it. I'm a native of Jacksonville, so I understand falling in love with the sun, even though you have to tolerate the hurricanes. In 2001, Dr. Flowers graduated with an undergraduate degree in psychology and a minor in sociology. In 2007, she graduated with her master's in education and a doctorate in psychology. Dr. Flowers is a part-time faculty member at Fayetteville Technical Community College, Carolina College of Biblical Studies, and American Public University. Dr. Flowers released her first journal book in July of 2018, Purposeful Pathways. What an interesting topic or title for that book. She's currently working on a new book, Taken But Not Forsaken, which focuses on the psychological struggles and trauma and healing using biblical principles. She is the director of Christian education at Love Alive Church. I seem like I'm familiar with that church, located in Middleburg, Florida. Dr. Flowers is married to retired, that SGM is Sergeant Major Nathaniel A. Flowers, and together they have 8 wonderful children. 8 wonderful children.
8 you cry.
And 4 grandchildren. So you know there's never a dull moment, especially during the holidays, around the Flowers house.
Never.
So Dr. Flowers, welcome to Soul Talk. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. We're just excited about where the conversation is going to go. And we know that great things are going to happen this evening based on that.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I'm not sure. I think he may be frozen. So the technical people will be working through whatever is going on there. But thank you once again, Dr. Sharon, for being here with us tonight. We are so super ridiculously excited. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, this book has been, of course, I've told you this before. I had this book for quite a while now, and reading through this book brought some things out that, you know, sometimes you feel like you have buried some things, and you start reading and you just, you know, your eyes get wet, find some tissue, throw the book across the room, like I'm not doing this right now. Primarily because of the way that it is written, and we'll let you talk a little bit more about that as far as it being more of a journal style. So kind of, you know, you're kind of reading through what your story was in your journey, and then you have to do, well, I said I'm going to let you talk about it, and then I started, right? But so yeah, so I want to kind of talk through a little bit of that. So first of all, probably first and foremost, just want to try to find out the name of the book, purposeful pathways, and then kind of a subtopic, life lessons for moving forward. What was the purpose behind the name? I know there is always a reason for a name.
Yes, there is. You know, when God told me that it was time for me to write this book, and you know that it had to be sooner than later. You know, of course, it wasn't easy, because I knew that I would have to bear some things that I had held really close to my heart, and in most respects, I would say some things I buried. And so as I'm writing this book and thinking about everything that transpired, I know that it had purpose. And so even though the pathway wasn't always clear, God said it had purpose. And so hence, that's where the book name was birthed, Purposeful Pathways.
Love it. Love it. So now you wrote this book in a style that's a little bit different than what you would typically see. So can you kind of just share and how it was written and why you chose to do it in that way?
Yeah. So initially, I had started working on this book, and it was supposed to have been a full-fledged book. And so when God told me that, no, it's not later, it's now. And so this was in December when he told me that, and that I needed to go ahead and get it together. And so I was thinking, man, I'm not gonna be able to write a book in 30 days. And so I was like, okay, so how am I supposed to do this? And he said, they're tiny lessons. And I'm like, tiny lessons? And he said, yes, so you have to shorten the stories.
Huh.
And he said, and I want you to ask questions, because I don't want it to be a typical book. I don't want it to be a book that you just pick up and then you read what it says and then you go on about your business. No, I need some thought-provoking conversation, and I need for the realness to show so that my people can get the deliverance that they need. And so this is why it was written in a journal style.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And you know, when I'm listening to that, because I know while I was looking over the book, I noticed that there were thought-provoking things right there after each chapter. And one of the things that I started thinking about while I was looking over the book is that when you talk about purposeful pathways, sometimes, Dr. Sharon, when people are going through the hard places of life, they can't associate that with purpose. You know, really, that's the place a lot of time where people will abort the assignments that God have on their lives, because they can't believe that sometimes their purpose, they connect with their purpose on the other side of the hard places.
Wow.
And I think the book does a great job of showing that sometimes you can start off real and life could be hard. You know, I was thinking about the ketchup sandwiches. Well, if you've been in a home where there wasn't a whole lot to eat, you know what it feel like, the ketchup sandwich, what we call the imagination sandwich, imagining that there's a piece of meat on the other side of that bread and that ketchup. But also when we used to do the mustard and sugar sandwiches.
Sandwiches, yes.
See, so, and if you've ever been a place where you walk in the house and you hit the light switch and the lights don't come on, well, most people that are facing those hardships, especially as a child, we begin to dream our way out of our situation. We're looking for brighter days.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's one thing I used to always question God is, why is it that I had dreams, and why was it that I would say, when I get older, I'm gonna do this, and when I get older, I'm gonna do that. And then I would write, all the time about what I wanted to do and how I was gonna do it. And so even as a small child, I can remember people, would say, oh, she just thinks she's better than everybody else. Well, no, I just knew that there had to be something better than the circumstances that I was in.
Yeah.
And it didn't negate the fact that my family wasn't a good family or good people. The fact was that we were poor.
Yeah.
And we didn't even really know we were poor because we were homeless. So if you owned a house, you had a little money. You didn't, we didn't live until in Section 8, until much later. But my grandmother owned her home. And so, when you living in the home and, everything is good and, you're barely eating, but you got a house. Right.
Yeah.
You own a home. And we was ahead of our friends that lived over in the projects. So we thought. And really we weren't.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I find interesting in your book is how, as a Christian, you know, a lot of times we find that people will separate Christianity and science, but there's a science to psychology, and I think that you have brought the two of those, Christianity and science, together in this book to kind of give people an opportunity to really see where they are and how to get to the next level. And I'll give you one of the ones that I thought was like in the beginning, of the very beginning of the book. I mean, I feel like that at the beginning of the book, you came out swinging right away. So, and so it was one of those that, you know, is captivating as this first chapter is. All throughout the book, you have those kind of things, but that first chapter, that introduction just like really grabs you right away and like, oh my gosh, I need to like, let me sit up and take note. And so you said something here in the book. You said, my interest in the mind and how it works, and you put in parentheses psychology, developed from a need to understand what was going on with me mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as people, we go through things, and sometimes, you know, as Christians, we don't always, we are taught years ago, we don't teach that so much anymore, but years ago we were taught you don't ask questions. You just kind of deal with what you're going with. And so what you're saying here, though, is to be a Christian, but still to deal with what's going on mentally. And you're using the art of psychology, not ignoring the Christian values and the Christian principles that we have, kind of give us a kind of a view of how you see Christianity and psychology working together to kind of help us through some of the things that we're going to talk through, even that you went through, and that others that's watching and listening, that maybe they can go through and they can kind of understand that you can see the parallels between the two.
Okay. So one of the things that, you know, early on, when God told me that I was going into the route of psychology, I tried to do counseling. And I tried to do family counseling and hit a brick wall. And so I went back to psychology. And so what God said is that he said, I told you that there's safety in the multitude of counselors. I didn't tell you they were Christian counselors. I didn't say they were pastoral counselors. I said counselors. Right. And so as God began to deal with me on that, he began to let me know that there are things from an emotional standpoint, from how we think, our social economic status, how we grew up, all of those things impact our minds. It impacts what we do and what we won't do, what we will not do. And so looking at psychology, you know, it's the study of the mind and how we process information. And so, and then how we see the world from that information that we've learned. And one of the things that I found out is that I had a faulty mental process of how I see things, or how I did see things, because of how I grew up. And so because of that, I suffered with depression and low self-esteem. And so wondering why my behavior was so erratic, why I was 1 minute I could be the happiest person in the world, and then the next minute I would be on a downswing and couldn't get up out the bed for days, and did not understand that whole process. And so wanting God to heal me, but also understanding that I did need to speak to someone. Right. And so as I understood my mental processes, the chemicals in my brain and how it functioned and what causes depression, and so what would cause me to have those low lows, understanding that part helped me to really understand God's word when it came to understanding safety
Christians, we don't
in counseling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you said these jarring disturbances not only left physical scars, but emotional ones as well. Mm-hmm. And so you said, as a result, I developed some self-destructive behaviors. So are those the behaviors that you're just referring to?
Yes. You know, one of the things that I really had a hard time with was love. And just really understanding what love was in its totality. And so there were times when people got real close, and because I did not understand love, I would do the craziest things to push them away. And it was because I did not understand what love was. And that was because of the hurt and the pain that I suffered as a small child. And so it didn't come from, my mom and dad were phenomenal people. My grandmother were great people. They just trusted people that they should have not trusted. Now, should they have been able to trust them? Sure. But the reality was that wasn't the truth. And so because of that, sometimes you associate pain with love if that's all you know.
Right.
And so, and especially when it came to dealing with the opposite sex, I'm gonna hurt them before they hurt me. Not that they did anything, but that was because of my faulty thinking.
Right.
But you know, Dr. Sharon, a lot of people, because in the African American community, it wasn't cool for us to go and talk to people that could help us. So we learned we were taught early on how to internalize whatever had happened, no matter how traumatic it was. We learned how to internalize it, how to take it and suppress it, push it way down to the point to where we convince ourselves that we are past it, that we are over it. But not even realizing that a lot of times the reason why we could not move on to the next phase of life is because our brokenness was still there. Even though we had put it in a closet somewhere, we had placed it way in the back of our minds, it always would come to surface anytime we entered into a space that was familiar to that pain.
Wow.
Because a lot of us did just what you did, because we had been hurt so early in life, to where I'm gonna get you first. I can relate to that because I had a mechanism. If I sensed trouble, because I had abandonment problems, if I sensed you were gonna leave me, I'd shut down on you. See, so I can relate to what you're saying, but it's good when we come publicly and say, hey, it's okay to go get help.
Yeah. Our community does not talk enough about mental health. We look at it as people being out of their mind. And believe it or not, most people are in their right mind that struggle with mental health issues. You see very successful people. And a lot of times with the more success you see, it's because they're suppressing. They're trying to hold down. And what happens is you accomplish these things so that you can feel good about yourself, but you still got the issues. And so, you feel good temporarily because you've excelled and you've done some great things, and you may still be doing some great things. But then what happens is that's not enough because you still haven't dealt with the real issue.
Yeah.
And so, and for me, one of my issues took 39 years.
Yeah.
It took 39 years, not because I was ashamed. It was more so of not wanting people to be hurt. And why did you not tell? And even in the book, I go on to elaborate about that because the outcome and the fallout could have been greater had I mentioned it at that particular time.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you seem to have, as a child, you went through all of these things, the ketchup sandwiches and just being excited to have lights and various things. And the poor people called y'all poor. You went through all that. And then you had this epiphany that the United States Army was your way out.
Yes. Well, at the time, which I can't remember right now in the book, I don't know if I mentioned that, but at the time I decided to get married at the ripe age of 19.
Okay.
And, as I was walking down the aisle, I can remember my dad said, if you want to run out of here right now, we could just turn around and go. And, I often joke and say, man, I should have took the out. I should have just ran, but I didn't, and I think that comes from still the expectations of what everyone expected from me. Y'all have been together, so you go ahead and marry him, regardless to whether it was love or not. And to be honest, I didn't even know what love was. Right. And so I just did what was expected. But because of that union, we decided that we were going to join the military. And so, and we did, at some point, I believe that it became not just a way out, but became part of me and part of who I was. and who I wanted to be. And I saw the potential of where it could take me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had a very successful military career. So you.
Yeah. I was blessed. Now I got into some trouble, but God still, I always said God had his hands upon my life. I know, and it's probably some of my friends that knew me back then. I probably put some of them that's on this live tonight. But God kept his promises, and he allowed me to be successful, you know, to serve those 20 years.
Yeah, don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell.
You know, there's one part in the book when you were in Korea, you made the statement that you had made your mind up that you were going to end your life. And the part where it said that your grandmother, I think that's who it was, your grandmother was praying concerning you at the time. That stood out because sometimes even when life don't make sense, it is so important that when you look at certain things that you remember the importance of praying, you know, because what would the world have missed if you would have been allowed to do what you were planning?
Yeah.
There's so much that you are able to bring to the table and bring into other people's lives because the enemy did not have his way. You know, because get to a place to where, you know, the world would be better without me. At least I'll be better off right now than the way that I feel. But the pain was temporary, but the results from everything that you went through, they will last for generations because someone needed your story.
Yeah.
So I think that was awesome just to see, okay, I got a praying grandma talking to God. No matter what's happening, grandma in America, you in Korea, but I'm so glad that there's no distance in between what God can do no matter where you are on the planet.
Yeah, that story, you know, the backdrop to that is I had been home on leave for 30 days prior to that. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, went home, stayed home, got a chance to see family, spend time with family, enjoyed myself, and still left with the mindset that when I got to Korea, that I was still going to commit suicide. And still had, you know, in my mind was able to justify in doing it, you know, that people would be better off without me. And of course, that came from, you know, the hurt of allowing people to walk all over you, not having enough, you know, or you know, self-esteem, and just trusting who you are as a person. And so you get hurt, you get trampled over, your feelings get trampled over. And so because of that, yeah, I was in a real bad place going over there. But I will never forget that incident. I won't even say it's an incident. It was God's angels being dispatched to come save my life. Yeah. And I can tell you, you know, after feeling that angel, I have never, ever felt so much love. And even talking about it, it just, you know, it's overwhelming because the way that it hugged me, and it seemed to just whisper, everything is okay. You okay. Yeah. Right. And then let go. And then I jumped up and I looked around. But from that day forward, suicide has not been my first thought. My first thought is how to live through this. Yeah. How am I going to make it through this?
Yeah. Now, I want you to kind of talk through, you made a statement there, and I think it's a very important statement. I'm sorry?
I don't say anything.
Okay. Many times we've heard this before from people that said that they were contemplating suicide or people that did commit suicide. And family members will say right before the act, the people seem like they're the happiest that they've ever been. Mm-hmm. You know, what is that science behind, let me get excited? And I'm not asking that question strictly because we want to talk about what you went through. You know, that is important because we're talking about your book, obviously, but there could be somebody else on here that's dealing with some things, and sometimes things seem like they are just so difficult and so hard that I can't get through it. But if I just smile through, and still have something in the back of my head. I can just move forward until I get to what I'm going to do. Can you kind of talk to what that science is kind of from there, and then kind of even take a moment to just encourage people to not move forward in that?
Yeah. So, of course, yes, there's an extreme happiness that the person seems to be okay. They're jolly. And a lot of that has to do with the endorphins and, of knowing that, hey, it ain't gonna always be like this because I'm about to go. Because that your mindset is, okay, whatever I'm going through, this is it. So I'm just going to be happy for this moment. So there's kind of that euphoric thing that's going on. And so most times people, once they come down off of that and they get by themselves, that's when it's the hardest, because now you're not on that high. You're not swinging. You're back down in that valley. And so a lot of people, when they get to that point, that's when they go ahead and commit suicide.
Wow.
And so, so yes, there are some extremes in there when people do commit suicide. But what I would say is that even in the planning of this, God always makes a way of escape. That's what his word says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even I had ample amount of time, the 30 days I was at home, and even once I got to Korea. But in that time frame, in those 2 weeks that I was there, I was like, well, I'm gonna do this first. That was my way of escape that day.
Mm-hmm.
Or my friend said, hey, Sharon, come and go to Seoul with us. That was my way of escape that day.
Mm-hmm.
So every day when I reflect back on that, God was making a way of escape.
Wow.
So when the person comes and says, hey, come and have dinner with me, God is making a way of escape right then and there. And so what I encourage people to do, just take one day at a time.
That's right.
Take one moment at a time. And knowing that God has purpose for your life, no matter what the situation is. And it won't always be like that forever.
That's right.
This is just a moment in time. Just a tiny moment in time. So take the way of escape.
Yeah.
So whether it's a phone call, or in my case, I'm gonna go to work today, but then when I get to my room for lunch, I ain't gonna show back up. Then they'll come looking for me.
Wow.
No, God, that day, the way of escape was God showed me him. He showed me how much he loved me, and that was my way of escape. He's always given us a way of escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, a lot of time when you are in the midst of a mental meltdown or crisis period, it seems like a permanent solution called death will solve everything.
Wow.
Because people are mostly looking for, I just want to get rid of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But not knowing that everything in life has an end date. The purposeful journey that you're on, I love how you talked about basically traveling. See, there's nothing in life that never take a break. Sometimes all I have to do is just wait until I get to the rest stop of life and stop and exhale and say, you know what? I know it's been rough, but I am able to breathe right now. I'm able to breathe, and sometimes, like traveling in Florida, it looks like you're in the midst of a storm, but not knowing a couple of more steps, the sun is shining.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people that may be going through hardships to understand that, today it seems like all the oxygen has been sucked out of your world, but just don't quit.
Right.
Just decide that you're going to breathe one more time. And then when you breathe that time, just breathe one more, just keep breathing. And on the other side of you breathing, God still has a plan.
Yeah.
He still has a plan.
Yes.
And it looks nothing like what we could even imagine.
Yeah. Well, that's what the devil is after.
Yeah.
What we can't even imagine. Why would it be? Why out of all the things that can cause you to escape, why does people tend to go toward death? See, Why? Because if I could get you to kill yourself, then everything you're supposed to give to the planet, it leaves with you.
Yeah.
My Lord.
Yeah, it's done. You know that, and that's the thing. It's the finality of it, and that's the reason why he keeps poking. You know, when something goes wrong, or you've been punched in the chest 2-3 times, and you barely feel like you can breathe, and then something else happens, and something else happens, and if I could just get her to break down one more time, this is it, this is it, this is it. But I tell people, just stand up and say, you know what, God got this too.
Yeah,
I've been sucker punched before. I have, you know, had the air knocked out of me, but guess what? I'm back.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. One more day, God allowed me to stand. And so now I got to give whatever I can give that God has for me, what he has ordained, the purpose in today, the reason why I'm still here.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about the way, and Pastor Leo just kind of talked a little bit about it, how your book is written. And so we talk about some of your things that you dealt with. You know, we kind of just talked through some of that, and some, you know, some really hard times, some good times, some hard times, and we'll talk a little bit more. But the one thing that I wanted to like really point out is, first of all, that the name of your book is Purposeful Pathways, but you write it in the form of what you call a journey. And so you specifically kind of talk through what a journey is, which I thought was like really, really good, because it kind of helps people to understand that as you're on this pathway, you're finding your purpose as you follow through in this journey. And
That's
so
good.
you had in this journey, you said a journey is an act or instance of traveling from one place to another of our course, or our course of life on earth. And so you started to break it down. This is the teacher part of you that starts. I can't just give you this. I'm going to have to educate you so you can understand exactly what I'm saying. So you said the journey, you research the distance, and you start talking through that. And then you said, we know that during the journey, we must consider the extra time to stop for restroom breaks and eating and stretching. So, you know, there's some things that happen on this road, on this journey of life, that we're not just going from point A to point B or point Z, but we're actually having some things that are happening, and we're counting the cost, and we're deciding, you know, what we need to do as we go through this journey. And then you said, in considering the breaks, it may add some time, but we don't quit. Yeah. We keep going because we have a lot of this, we have allotted for this in our planning. Talk about that. That was so powerful to me.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times, you know, I think about life, and I think about my life, and there's some things that I know that should have it should have just, I should not be here today.
Yeah.
But it was meant for me to take a break. When, you know, I think there's a part in this book, it could be the one I'm working on, where I talk about being committed to a mental institution. And I call it my timeout, because I mean, I was on the road of destruction. You know, I had made some statements, and when, you know, people was like, well, what you gonna do? No, I'm gonna take this sucker out. I got my gun. I'm on my way over there. And I mean, you know, and so I'm thinking like, you know, after, you know, I got, you know, there, and they was like, did you really meant what you said? Yes, I meant what I said. You know, and, you know, and I laugh about it now, but it was my time out. It wasn't time for me to quit. I just needed the time out. I needed to do what I needed to do at that moment to regroup so that I could continue my journey, how to navigate this next part of what I was going through. So even as we're traveling on this road, just as you get a flat tire, you don't leave the tire flat. You get the spare, you put it on, then you go to the tire shop. And it's the same way in life. If we hit something that we can't handle, first of all, it's in the Word of God on how to handle it, but also too, He's given us counselors, wonderful counselors that can help us navigate through whatever it is, whatever situation that we're going on, whether it's divorce or, you know, children acting, whatever it is. He gives us everything that we need. So don't quit right there.
Right.
Now is the time, once you've got, you know, whatever's going on that journey, let me take this knee, Let me write down a course of action. Let me make some phone calls. Now is the time to get busy, but not to quit.
Yeah.
No, we're not quitting.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so you had a hard childhood. You went into the military. Things were going good. Then you had this point where you were just like, okay, I'm done. Had enough. I'm going to check out. Grandma started praying. You couldn't check out. So then you end up getting the divorce from the first husband because of craziness.
Yes.
You get remarried. And this husband, your second husband, is brutally murdered.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you go from the place of, my goodness, I've gone through all this stuff. Can I get a break?
Yeah.
How do you go from, now I've got to deal with something else that's completely devastating. How do I move forward in life?
Yeah. So, this, I think that everything that I went through all those years ago really prepared me to face, this adversity I went through with losing Bobby. And in so many ways, I think back and people say, were you emotionally distraught? Yes, you're emotionally distraught. Mm-hmm. See, and sometimes people think because you went through something and you made it through it and they see the smile on your face and they see the smile while you're going through it, doesn't mean that you don't have the emotional crisis behind it.
Right.
So that's number one, because you're supposed to. God made us emotional creatures. And so we have emotions that we go through. But I can remember, in the midst of all of this, and I told God, I said, I've been through a whole lot of things in this life, in this journey. But the one thing that I cannot do is live the rest of my life with this emptiness and this hole that I felt in my heart. And wow. I didn't want to hate people, and I didn't want to be angry, and I didn't want to live a life full of hatred. And so I told her, I said, if this is the way that I have to live, I cannot live here like this. And so I remember distinctly praying, and God told me, he said, if you would pray for the people who did this and their families every day, you're going to notice that one day you don't feel like that anymore.
Wow.
Mm. Now, I tell people when I first started going to that prayer closet, it was not sincere. Please do not it was not sincere, y'all. Okay, Lord, let me pray for these folks and their families. That was about that was it. But then it became such a realness because I didn't know if they had children or, one thing I do know is that no parent raises their children to be a murderer.
That's right.
Yeah.
No parent intentionally does that. That's in their right mind. And I'll add that piece to it. And so, but it became to where I prayed for them and prayed earnestly for them because, and then it's amazing because as broke as my heart was, I don't remember praying for myself. But God healed me because one day I was like, I don't feel like this anymore. And this, was, maybe a year, 2 years down the road, but God allowed me to go through that. And then not just that moment, but also too, allowing me to sit through a trial for almost 5 years and be able to gracefully go through and just, even acknowledging the people who did this and being able to even finally talk to one of the parents of one of the people that committed, this crime. Mm-hmm. So yes, it wasn't easy. Was I in counseling? Yes. Yes, I was in counseling. That was a big part of me being able to move forward and being able to talk about how I felt. The biggest thing for me is, at that particular time, was my children. Right. God had told me, your children are going to respond the way that you're going to respond. And I wanted my children healthy and whole because they had suffered such a traumatic loss. Mm-hmm. And so one thing I do know that forgiveness comes, you have to forgive. And I knew had I held on to that, my children would have held on to that. Mm-hmm. And that they couldn't go on and lead productive lives. Mm-hmm. And so part of that was being able to forgive them so that I could move forward. If not, I would have remained stuck.
Wow.
But it's something when you just, one of the things that you said is that sometimes when you're going through rough places, people underestimate the smile.
Mm-hmm.
They think that just because I have a public smile that I'm not crushed on the inside. And I think we have to be careful when we are around people that have gone through a hard place, and understand that sometimes that smile don't mean that they're happy. That smile just means that they're making it easier on the people that they are around. My smile is more to comfort you than to comfort me, because my reality is not when I'm around you. It's when you're gone.
Yeah.
And I go into my own world, or after years have passed, and then I still have moments where out of nowhere, my emotions start acting up.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of time when people look at certain things, because you can't, if you've never been there, sometimes it's hard for you to even imagine what something like what you went through, the actual pain that it will cause.
Right.
And then to have to relive it for years based on a trial.
Yeah.
It only takes the grace of God that can get you through that. And then when you talk about even with the forgiving, I think it was so important that God told you, say to pray for them, because here it is. If the forgiveness wasn't so much for them, it was for you.
Yeah.
We get stuck in our own prison when we don't release it, because sometimes the people who hurt us or whatever they may have done, they're able to go on. And as time progresses, sometimes they even forget about what even happened. And here we are still stuck back here, health going down, mental problems, angry, all because we didn't allow God to say, okay, God, you got to deal with this here, because if not, I know what's going to happen. It's going to destroy me.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And I could see the path had I allowed it to go that far. But I think for me, the key component too is when God told me that my children would respond how I responded.
Yeah.
And so if I respond with love, that has to come back.
Yeah.
And so, I could only, think about even my oldest son, of him coming, to me one day and was just like, Mom, I'm proud of you. You're strong. And he said, you okay? And I said, yeah, son, I'm okay. But he needed that in that moment because he wasn't okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But because I said I was okay, he said, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the biggest thing for me, of being able to, and I can honestly say that when I saw people, my smile was genuine. It wasn't a show, but also too, I know that most times when people would come to me, you can see them, and I'm quite sure, you've been through, losing someone significant in your life, where people come to you and you see them afar off and they already looking like they just about to break out and cry. And I'm like, I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing this. Hey, how are you? Let me give you some love. Because the bottom line is that us standing there crying is not going to change the situation. But what I can do is just give you a few minutes of hope. Because once I give you that few minutes of hope, that's going to help me to be able to move on forward.
Right.
So it's just that hope. It's just instilling that hope.
Yeah. Now you talk about the forgiveness that you did with the people that killed your husband, but you did not talk about the forgiveness you had to go through for the people that did something directly to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that, and the harshness of God telling you had to forgive while this person is dead.
Yeah.
And how do you forgive somebody that they can never ask for forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
They can't ask you to forgive. How do you forgive them?
Yeah, so that was definitely a unique time, and I'm like, you know what, God, they dead and gone. It don't matter, but God said it does matter because you're still bitter.
Yeah. Wow.
It does matter, and so God had me to write a letter to the person. I wrote the letter, and then He told me to bury the letter.
Wow.
And I wrote the letter. Folded it up and buried it in my backyard at that particular time. And once I let it go, and God told me it's dead. It's a dead issue. So it no longer should have the power that it once had over you. And so once I did that, everything was able to be let go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to write a letter.
Well,
Yeah.
but you know, Dr. Sharon, what you just said is good, because there are people that are listening here
Mhm.
that have issues of people who have disappointed them, may have hurt them, may have wronged them, but those people have died.
Yeah.
And they're still walking around bitter and angry and frustrated. At some point in time, they got to learn to let it go. Because once again, simply because God told you to write a letter and to forgive is proof that the forgiveness was not for the person. It was for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why we have to grab hold to it and say, you know, sometimes your life will punch you. Sometimes people hurt you. Sometimes they disappoint you. But you got to make sure that you never allow people to dominate your world.
That's right.
Because you've been wrong, because then they have control over you. And you don't want to relinquish your control into the hands of people that a lot of time they might not even know you exist. They might not know that you're mad, or sometimes they just straight up don't care that they've hurt you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then most times they don't care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was the same way in the people that took Bobby's life. They didn't know us. They didn't know our family.
Yeah.
So they getting ready. They going somewhere, you know, to serve some time, but they didn't care whether my kids ate or
Right.
You know, but that was the last thing that was on their mind. So why should I give them the satisfaction of being angry and stunting my growth in life, because for people who have no idea really who I am, other than when I saw me step into the courtroom, and they still didn't care then.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've got a few more minutes, but there's a topic that I really want to kind of brace, kind of go into that. Some people may or may not like it.
Yeah.
And that is when we are hurt by the church.
Yeah.
By people in the church, because the church don't hurt anybody, but the people in the church.
Yeah.
We can be so devastated and hurt, and we can get to the point to where we don't want to leave God, but we want to leave the people.
Mm-hmm.
and decide, God knows your people. You can deal with them. I won't. I don't want to. So I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit. When I met you, you were in a place of God knows your people, and I don't want to deal with them.
Uh-huh.
You remember the time when we sat at Chili's restaurant and sat there and talked for a few hours? Yeah, because of our church folk that can hurt us.
Yeah. At that time, you know, Pastor Norma, I was in a really bad place when it came to wanting to be part of a ministry. Had went through some things and experienced, you know, some hurt that was really, really deep. And so I was like, you know what, God, I love you, but your people, the one you say belongs, I don't know. And so everybody got the side eye. I mean, I ain't trust nobody. You know, everybody got to listen. I mean, I had so many folks tell me, God sent you here. Stop it. And so it became to the point where I was so bold in saying, God didn't say that. You know, and I was just really worn out from all of the church stuff. Mm-hmm. But then one of the things that God really dealt with me on, and he was like, everybody is not the same. And there are really some people who truly love me.
That's right.
And also the people that did this, they got some hurt that they haven't dealt with.
Oh,
yes.
So hurt people.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important to deal with your hurt before you are in front of people or you have a congregation and you haven't dealt with that hurt yourself.
Jesus.
You got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, many people, they were quick to say, well, you know, God called you to preach and he called you to teach, but he didn't call me to tear up folks' life. Because see, right now there's some stuff that I'm dealing with. See, I already know where I'm at. Mm-hmm. So if I know that I'm hurt by the church, no, I don't want anyone to ever have to experience what I experienced.
Right.
Because of people still hurt and not dealing with their own stuff.
Mm-mm-mm.
So you got to deal with it. You got to deal with whatever is going on with you. And so thank God that, I tell people all the time when it came to you all, y'all didn't pressure me. You'll check in every now and then, but you allowed me to develop and to come when I was ready with encouragement. And the encouragement is, girl, you know what you're supposed to be doing. It didn't come like that. It was just how you doing. We're doing good. Well, we got this going on. Hope y'all can come. But it was never a forceful thing. And that's the thing. Church people, and it's not that they're not even people. I won't even say church people. People are people, whether they in church, out of church. If people got stuff that they have not dealt with, they will hurt you. And that's the reason why we all got to deal with our stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And I think it's so important what you said as far as we have to deal with our stuff. A lot of time we're looking for the wrong things to heal us. A lot of times, especially in church, see, for some strange reason, people think that, and it's not only in church, it's in business, it's in any facet of life. We think that if we connect to the right thing, that it will heal us. We think that maybe if I get a good title behind my name, that that'll make me okay. When really, I have to sit down and come face to face with who I am and why am I hurting? Because sometimes people just get busy to where they don't want to deal with who they are. Sometimes we think we mean good when we're getting on people's nerves, but at the end of the day, if I just take a moment and just think, where I can tell by people's expression when I'm giving them what they want and when they're really tolerating me. Say, okay, well, I'll just be glad when you finish giving me your little spiel and go back into your world. But I think that oftentimes, especially when you start talking about being a part of something and the people that should protect you, the people that should love you, that you should be able to trust when they hurt you. That's another one of those things. You just don't get over it just like that.
Right.
No.
And especially when sometimes it seems like there could be a trend in this circle that I flow in to where it's almost like they eat their young. Well, dear Lord,
my Lord,
how many times God should I forgive? I understand what the Bible says, but I'm kind of tapped out on two.
Yeah. It's funny because the thing is that I said, God, I'll do whatever they want me to do. They want me to come in and teach a couple times. God, I love you. One thing I never stopped was loving God, but I just didn't want to deal with God's people.
Right.
And so I think that, and God had to really deal with me on that issue. And it took a lot of prayer. It took me really sitting down and saying, why did this journey become a little bit too difficult for you? And actually, I had to admit, yes, God, because listen, I've been doing all the forgiving and they still cutting up. So I was like, how much more do I have to do?
Right.
And God said, as much as I want you to do, but it took a while for me to get there. And so I'm grateful, even now I'm so grateful for this part of the journey because I can actually sit back and was like, God, you know what? Thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for delivering me of some things. And sometimes people don't want to do that because also too, when you're on a platform and you're used to being on a platform and now you in the shadows, some people don't handle that too well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And so for me, thank God, I wanted to be in the background. I needed to be in the background for God to do what he needed to do in me.
Right.
And still doing.
But that shows character. Sometimes we the worst thing that leaders can do is continue to try to lead when they are hemorrhaging. Sometimes you've got to go and get yourself taken care of so that you don't cause everybody else that's connected to you to be walking around hemorrhaging right along with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of that, it even filtered into because I felt like the attack was so great, not just on me. But then after, of remarrying and then feeling like I have to protect, my new husband from the attacks. That was probably one of the hardest things, after losing a spouse and then remarrying and then feeling like I have to protect this one because people are so nasty and they're so cruel and they're so evil, in what they were doing. And so that was very difficult because now here I am, trying to, move forward in life, but yet feeling like I have to protect, the man of God, from people that say they love me. So yeah, that was hard.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking about something, excuse me, the night that you and I spent, I don't know, I guess we spent maybe 3 or 4 hours sitting there talking for hours. And the one thing that kept coming up to me, as we were talking and realizing, we don't get to be, it's sad. I mean, I'm going to say this is really sad to have to say. We don't get through this far in church and not have gone through something, some kind of hurt, some kind of pain. Somebody said something, did something, something. It's unfortunate to have to admit that, but it's the truth. And truthfully, it's not just the church. I mean, it's any place. You can go to work for a long time and be with different people and something to happen. So it's not just the church, but you think that the church is a safe place. And so I think sometimes we let our hearts become more vulnerable and we let our guards down a little bit more at church than what we would typically do anyplace else.
Yes.
And consequently, the pain is hurt. It hurts a little bit more because and especially if it's your leader, that makes it even worse. But the one thing that continued to come up in me as I was sitting there was love never fails. And the only thing that the Lord kept telling me was to share love. Don't worry about what you can hear what she's saying, but love never fails. You continue to show her love. And when I went home and started talking to Pastor Leo about it, the only thing I was telling him was love never fails.
Yeah.
If we just continue to love right where we are, and it wasn't even about, I'm gonna be honest with you, it wasn't even about you coming to Love Alive Church. It was about somebody was sitting there in front of me hurt with pain. And I realized that as the body of Christ, it does not matter whether somebody connects with us within our own 4 walls. We need to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so for me, I'm watching you sit there in a place of that you are what you talk about in your book, grieving it out. You're grieved. You're having to deal with the grief of not just the natural grief and the pain of dealing with what you dealt with in your family, but also grieving that you had spent this many years in a church and you had given your life to this place. And now you were dealing with this hurt and pain. There's a grief that you have to go through with that too. And the only thing that the Lord kept sharing with me is love her right where she is.
Yeah.
Whether she never comes to Love Alive Church or not, love her right where she is.
Yeah.
And that is so important that I think that we get to that point. Can you talk a little bit in the few minutes that we have left, just talk a little bit about the importance of just sometimes loving people right where they are. You don't have to create something for people, just where they are.
Yeah. A lot of times, and I tell people this, you can get so spiritually deep that you're no good, actually. You're so heavenly minded that you can't even reach out and just love people right where they're at.
Yeah.
And I knew at that particular time that love never fails. That was one of the scripture that God, would have me to look at every day. Love never fails. Love never fails. And believe it or not, I tell people when I remarried, Nathaniel had to love me right where I was at.
Yeah.
He saw the brokenness. He saw the grief of what I was going through because, he even before that with me every day, but he chose to love me right where I was at.
Yeah.
I accept you with whatever you got going on right here. I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to force you to do something. I'm not throwing any scriptures at you. I'm just going to love you.
Right.
And many times, instead of us trying to, in our minds, what can we do? really just love them.
Yeah.
It's not even so much what can you do, what can God do?
Come on now.
And so can we just love people
Yes.
right where they're at? Love them no matter what's going on in their life right then and there. Love people where they're at.
Yes.
Just love them. And with a genuine love. I'm not talking about no fake. No, with a pure, genuine love. The same way that you would treat them, whether they come to the church house or if you see them out there on the corner turning up. Can you just love them right where they're at?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That is the rawness and the fullness of what God would want us to do.
My Lord.
Love.
Yes.
Well, you know what, Dr. Sharon, so that was well said, because a lot of time that could be the missing link to how long a person stay in whatever they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that we're supposed to have the answers, but a lot of time we're not called to have answers. We're called to just be there.
Yeah.
You know, be there and touch another way to where they know that you care. And I was thinking about everything that we've discussed this evening. I think one of the awesome things is about life itself is when you're talking about purposeful pathways, everything that we've discussed concerning your journey, your book, God had a plan for it.
That's right.
So it looked like it wasn't going to serve a purpose, but here it is. If you just stay consistent and don't quit, God will connect the dots. Because you know, it's like when the Bible says that He'll take your ashes and He'll get beauty from your ashes.
Yeah.
Well, while you're in order for something to become ashes, it has to go through a certain amount of heat. There's a burning almost to where it's destroyed. And the Bible says that even in moments like that, when it looked like you'd have been I'm talking about in a furnace and there's nothing left but ashes, it said God will scoop the ashes up and He'll turn them ashes into beauty. And that's what He's done with your story.
Yeah.
He's taken all the rough places, all the pain and hurt, and all the things that was designed to crush you. And now He's packaged it up so that the world can get a glimpse. Why? Because there's somebody else that's eating ketchup sandwiches. There's someone else whose lights are being turned off. There's someone else that's contemplating whether or not they should live or die. There's someone else who has experienced the loss of a spouse or a loved one. There's someone else who has been betrayed by the church and feel as though it was God that betrayed them when it was people that hurt them. Well, now they have someone that have walked through each one of those things. And on the other side of it, God has taken what should have destroyed you, and now He's giving you a platform. He's giving you access to other people's worlds.
Yes.
And because of that, their lives will be better.
Wow, Lord, that's good.
They won't need the whole book. Sometimes I just need to know that there's life after the ketchup sandwich.
My goodness. Come on now.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I might know that when I'm thinking that I'm not worth anything, that life is not worth living. Sometimes I just need to realize that yes, it's a little cloudy right now, but God you didn't sneak on this planet. God had a purpose for you. When you won your first race, when you had your photo finish and dived on the egg, you were supposed to be here. You beat millions of other little fellas that was racing you and you won. So there's a purpose that God has.
Yes.
And we're so glad that you are walking out your purpose. We're so glad that God brought you into our world. I can tell you that our world is much better because Dr. Sharon Flowers didn't quit.
Absolutely.
Amen. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. You know, I wanted to share this too, Pastor Leo and Norma. You know, one of the things that I always thought was so, you know, fascinating in all of this after, you know, Bobby's death and moving forward and everything that I experienced in the church, you know, God, after that whole incident, He wrapped it up with love.
Yes.
Because, you know, in the midst of that, of thinking that here I am 3 years old, that I was a widow and I was content with that and happy with that. But God said, no, not so. And so He even showed me that there, you know, he consumed it with love. He showed me that I could love again. He showed me how that I needed love again, you know, and to bring that back, you know, after all of that, to show me love in the midst of that, I'm forever grateful.
Yes.
You know, that, you know, and it just wasn't even looking for it. But I thank God that he still had enough love for me that he said, you know what? No, this ain't the end of the story. You got some more help. And so bring love back around to show me how to have another amazing love in this second half of my journey. I'm just in awe. So it blows my mind because that's just how good God is.
Are we talking about Mr. Nathaniel?
Yeah, Mr. Nathaniel. He might be on watching. I don't know. He might be on watching. Yeah, but Mr. Nathaniel was he was truly a blessing in my life. You know, I know I had known him, you know, for 20 years, a little over 20 years before we married. And I'm grateful for every day's journey that I have with him. And so just, you know, showed me a love that I can tell you that outside of God's love, I thought I would never experience here on earth again.
Wow.
And so, I'm just in awe of that. And so I don't take that lightly.
Yes.
What you say? Honey?
I said, go Nate.
Yeah.
He's representing.
Yeah, he's an amazing person. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Sharon, we want you just to kind of tell us how the people can get your book. There's so much more in this book. There's no way we can go through all of this. And I was trying to skip around and get some key points, but some of the stuff was so good. You know, it's only so much you can pull and get. So would you tell them, please, how they can get a copy of your book?
Yes. So the book is available on Amazon. It's $13.95 on Amazon. You can also contact me at Author Sharon E. Flowers on Facebook. You can inbox me or post a message there, or you can inbox me on Instagram at Sharon E. Flowers, and I have copies I will sign and mail to you. And of course, I can invoice you to pay.
Okay. And you said it's on Amazon too, right?
It is available on Amazon as well.
Awesome. And you can get that the little autograph copy, right? Mm-hmm. If they send it, if they go through Instagram or Facebook to get an autograph copy. Okay. Awesome.
Hey guys, those of you that are watching, that are viewing, we want to encourage you to go out there and get that book, because there's a purpose for what you're going through too. See, so Dr. Sharon's story is really a reflection of a lot of our stories. Why? Because when you start looking at some of the things that you've been encountering, some of the things you've been going through, you want to make sense out of them. Because some of you this evening got on here, you felt like quitting. You felt like your life didn't make sense. You felt like it's so bad right now that not even God can get mileage out of the mess that you're in. Well, I'm telling you, pick the book up, read the book. Why? Because her testimony is in the book. And what? You read her testimony will give you hope. Why? Because you're in the midst of a test. Now you want to get on the other side. So study someone else that have traveled through it. And I'm telling you, you might be writing your book next, talking about how good God is and how God has brought you through your stuff.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we love you a bunch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Dr. Sharon, do you have anything else before we log off this evening?
No, I just want to encourage everybody. We all have a story.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Write your story.
Yes.
Share your story.
Yeah.
It's life-changing. And also to my mommy's on. So, hey, mommy.
Oh, hey, mom.
Hey, Mom.
That's so exciting. Was that Miss Gladys? Is that who that was?
Yes, Miss Gladys is on.
All right.
Yeah, and some of my sorority sisters and my niece, Jessica. I just really appreciate everybody logging in. And I'm telling you guys, come back next week to Soul Talk. There has been some amazing, amazing people being presented, since Soul Talk has started. Tune in on Thursday nights. 7 It's an amazing time.
Yes, thank you for that shameless plug. We'll take it.
Lavon, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm just, I say no and then I start talking. I just want to tell you once again, Dr. Sharon, thank you so much. Thank you for yielding. Thank you for writing. First of all, thank you for being obedient to God and writing this book. Thank you for allowing us an opportunity to be face to face with ourselves as we read it, as we walk through our own journeys, and you've given us the opportunity to see what you went through and then to be able to write our own journey in each of those, after each of those, and writing it as a lesson. Each one of them is a lesson. Thank you so much. What an amazing way to write a book and to really get people involved, engaging. And then thank you so much once again for coming on tonight. Of course, I was already so excited and waiting and ready for this. So thank you once again. We appreciate you. And thank you for all that you do for Love Alive Church.
Oh, you guys
The
so much. I
Director
love
of
y'all.
Christian Education. Yes.
We have
I
the
love y'all.
#1 director of Christian education in the body of Christ. Hey, thanks again. Hey, everybody that's out there watching, thank you for joining us this evening. Hopefully you will come back next week. We will continue this journey. We have another author next week, so be on the lookout for the different information that we post leading up until Thursday. And thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.